can I retire at 60 with $500,000? And we want to put together a complete dynamic retirement income plan, a hybrid approach to the 4% rule, the percentage of portfolio rule, really putting together everything: taxes, inflation, all of your expenses, vacations, health insurance premiums, baseline expenses like your light bill, your grocery bill. What's inflation going to be personally to you, not just to like a scope of people, but what's your inflation rate? Answering the question, can I retire? And how long will my money last? Will I be able to retire and my money last forever? So let's look at this. So we got Frank and Karen Bankerton. Okay, we're looking at the dynamic spending rule. Now we've got a couple things I want you to pay attention to. They're both retired. Okay, so they're 60 years old and they're retired. Social Security benefits. We're going to look at 62. We're going to look at 67, and we're going to look at 70. That's why it's called dynamic. We need to look at when is the optimal time for this couple to take Social Security. At 62, it's $1,729 for Frank, and for Karen, it's $1,540. There's no pensions, so we've just got Social Security. That's the only guaranteed income stream that we've got. From an asset standpoint, we've got $500,000, and this is how it's split up. Frank's got a traditional IRA with TD Ameritrade for $175,000. Karen has a Roth IRA at TD Ameritrade for $75,000. Now, Karen also has a traditional IRA of $225,000, and they have a bank account at the University of Kentucky Federal Credit Union of $25,000. Now, these were all 401ks from their jobs that we rolled over. We managed their assets with TD Ameritrade that we rolled over. Karen had a Roth option with her 401k, which is why she's got $75,000 there. And she did have the traditional as well. So we've got the $225 in the IRA and the $75 in the Roth IRA. Now we've got $350,000 in our house. That's what it's worth. And we've also put money into it. Okay. And this is the place they're going to stay. They're not leaving. This is where they're going to live for the foreseeable future. So we have baseline expenses of $3,334. Baseline simply means, hey, this is how much we need for groceries, for gas, for taxes, for insurance, for any kind of expense that's not going away. Okay. And inflation on that's going to be 3.27%. Now, they don't have any debt, so we don't have any fixed expenses. So every expense that they have is going to have inflation on it. We have travel built into this budget of $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. And we're going to end that in the year 2043. Eventually, travel is going to fall off, right? That's like the slow go to no-go years. And we can make this as granular as possible. We could do $1,000 for the next 10 years. We can go $500 after that for 10 years after that. We can do whatever we want. And also have inflation on it, knowing that $500 today is different from $500 10 years from now. So we can be as granular as we want, but we're just trying to get a good view of this retirement income plan. And we also have health insurance premiums of $7,500 or $750 a month with inflation. And they're going to carry these into Medicare because they want a Medicare supplement. And a supplement's different from an Advantage plan because you do pay premiums for a supplement. I don't want to get into Medicare on this call, but we do work with our clients on Medicare and making the choice that best fits them depending on their retirement income plan, their retirement plan, their financial EKG. And for them, they just, because of their health, because of the risk with some of their health stuff, they want to have a supplement when they get to 65. So we're going to put inflation on that. Now, here's the thing I want you to keep in mind. What if they had like a fixed expense? Let's say they had like a mortgage, which they don't have, but let's say they did, and the mortgage was $1,200. Well, the mortgage, the inflation rate would be 0, right? And it's going to end eventually, so we would have an end date on it. But as you see how the inflation rate came down to 2.65? Now, if I put 3.27 back on here, let me just show you this. You can see how there's inflation, 3.27%. That's the 109-year average. But if they had a fixed expense, the fixed expense would have a 0, like a mortgage. It has a 0 inflation. Your mortgage is the same every year unless you have an ARM loan, but most people don't. So their inflation rate is 2.65 with that. So you see how important it is for you to have an individualized inflation rate based on your expenses. And we would send you an expense plan as we're building out this EKG to get the exact expenses for you so we can build out an individualized inflation rate for your retirement EKG. All right. So Now, from a cash flow standpoint, we don't have any cash flows at this point. Cash flows would be if they said, hey, Drew, we want to put on here purchases of a car. We have a daughter that we want to pay for their wedding, or we have some kind of big expense. Maybe you're renovating a kitchen or something. We want to add that in. For them, they don't have any of that. So we're not going to add any cash flows. So we go to retirement, and we can see up here, they're out at 76. So let's walk through this real quick. So here we are at 60. Here's our assets. Here's how much income we need. Here's Social Security kicking on. So it doesn't matter how much we're saving in taxes, we're still pulling this money out, and we're out at 76. Okay, so what do we need to do? So let's look at some ways that we can adjust this so that we can make this money last. So let's go to Social Security. So what we want to think about is, when is going to be the most optimal time for this couple to take Social Security? Remember, Social Security is something that you don't have to take it at 62. You don't have to take it at 67. It doesn't make sense to take it after 70. So we want to make sure we pick the most optimal time based on how much income you need out of your portfolio and what the amount that you're going to get from Social Security is, along with the Social Security COLAs, which we factor in. Now, keep in mind, we don't factor in COLAs before you take Social Security. I just do that to be more conservative, and that's just me. You can hate on me all you want. I don't do that. But once we take Social Security, we start factoring in the COLAs because that's just how it works. So let's look at this. So the optimal time for them, based on the software, to take Social Security is 62. So we had it right. So it made sense to take Social Security at 62. Now, the other thought, retire later and part-time job. I know these are like thorns in your side, and you don't like it when I talk about this, but retiring later could be an option. They could work a few more years. Part-time job is something that we can also talk about, but let's try not to work, and let's see what we can do. So let's go to our itemization, or our expenses here for a minute. So what we can talk about is we can say, well, this is what we need. This is what we have to do to live. This right here is just for fun. So we can adjust this. Like, we have to have health insurance and we have to eat, right? Like, I got to go to the doctor and I got to go to Publix or Walmart or wherever you go. So here's what we can do. We can adjust this. We can say, well, what if we cut this in half and we go to $500? Now, what does that do? So as you can see this, our current scenario has us out at 76. If we adjust the scenario, now we're out at 83 years old. So by adjusting our travel income, we've extended the life of our retirement income by 7 years, which is pretty good. So is that something we want to do? Can we adjust this? Is this something that we want to adjust? Now, keep in mind, they're probably not going to travel every year. And obviously every year, you're not going to go on a, bang out $6,000 vacation. But in today's inflationary environment, $2,000 to $5,000, if you're going for a week, 2 weeks vacation, like you come to Florida, it's expensive. So let's leave that. So now we go to this scenario. Let's look at this. So this is our updated scenario. And now we're running out of money at 83. We can also look at, let's look at another, let me show you something else on this. Let's do a home equity conversion. So here's our HECM. What we're going to do, the HECM is simply a reverse mortgage. Okay. So let's take out from the HECM, let's take $1,000. So if we look at this dynamic spending rule, what we're trying to do is get this money to go as long as we possibly can. So at 63, we're going to take our reverse mortgage. There's $1,000 that we're going to get from our reverse mortgage. Obviously, it's pulling the value of this down, right? So if you take out, like, the reverse mortgage has to be paid out eventually. So if we do a reverse mortgage, we have to take out protected assets. We just assume they're not there, okay? Spendable assets, now at 98, we're out of money, which is a lot better scenario. Still don't like it, but at 98, you're probably like, Drew, they're going to be okay. So you can see how this is more of like dynamic, how we're looking at this on an individualized basis, and we're looking at many different options. Now, Frank and Karen, we're not done with their scenario. Obviously, the names have been changed to protect the innocent, and they're current clients. So we're doing quarterly reviews with them, wanting to make sure that we're on track to get to retirement, through retirement, and protect their ability to stay in retirement. So I hope this video has helped. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye.